Yes, hello Chatrella. I'm kind of live right now. I found a really stupid way to make this work. Okay. So, hello everyone. Feel setting something up, but you get to listen to our awesome voices for that duration. Yeah, that's actually OST for this game. Yes, let's not dwell any longer. Hello everyone, welcome back. Let us have a look between worlds run by the Legend of Zaheer. Feel free to stop whenever and just tell me to start time.
Sweet. Cool. Hello everyone. I'm Zaheer. It's good to see everyone up and ready to watch some Zelda speedruns. Let me just get set up right here. So I'm not actually starting to run yet. I'm just gonna go ahead and start the file and then do a soft reset that saves a few frames at the very beginning. But alright, I think I'm just about ready to start the countdown timer.
They say the game is loud, so can you lower that?
The game is on? Okay, sure. Let's see. Alright, how's that sound?
That's better. They don't need to hear me, who's still hard to hear, so it sounds better.
Okay.
So, I'm ready to start the time whenever you are.
Alright, cool. Alright, let's start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Alrighty, everyone. Welcome to The Legend of Zelda, A Link Between Worlds any %. You are all in for a pretty nice treat today. So at the beginning we got Gully waking us up here. He's the son of the blacksmith. And he's gonna just tell us a few things here and there. Once we get through this text, we're gonna head outside. And he's gonna mention something about the weather vanes and how it's our method of saving the game. Now, it might seem like that I could just walk right past it and just move on without wasting any time from saving the game, but this is actually the only forced save in the entire run. Because if we try to move on right past it, Gully's going to be like, you're going to have to save it. and all that stuff, so we're kind of forced to do this, but it's the only time we're forced to save at all. But any other save I make at any other point during the run would be a safety save, and I'll get to more on why I should in a little bit. But for now, we're going to head straight to where the blacksmith is to carry the sword. We're not going to be able to use it right away, but we do need to pick it up because we can't go past this area until we get that sword. So it's very important. However, once I get the sword, we're going to be taking an immediate detour right away. We're actually going to be heading towards Death Mountain early. Normally, we'd be going straight to the Hyrule Castle Gate to speak to the guard, and then head to the Sanctuary afterwards, but we're not going to do that right now. At least not yet. So we're going to start by heading towards Kakariko Village, and we're going to activate the weather vane here, because it's going to be very useful for fast travel later on. Because aside from saving the game, the weather vanes are also useful for warping / fast travel, all that stuff. But now we're going to head towards where the Death Mountain entrance is, and we're going to do this skip called the Power Glove Skip. I'm going to lure this bird in certain places, and then okay, well, I'm going to lure him back into this certain spot and try again. There we go. So that was the Power Glove Skip. And now we got to get through the Moldorm Cave in here. Now, unfortunately, even though we're holding Link's sword, we don't have access to it. We can't actually use it. So I do have to be pretty careful inside the Moldorm Cave. And I have to rely on throwing pots to kill the Moldorms. And it's nice to get a heart drop in here, because it is possible to die in here. And there wouldn't be all that much I could do about it. I'm going to try to get him. Alright. So it's good that I got a good number of heart drops. So I ended up not dying. It would have been nice to have 10 rupees coming out of there, but 8 is still fine. It won't take too much to get another 2. Now, that little mini cutscene you saw just now, that was... Oh, let's see if I get a drop here. Alright, cool. Cool. That worked out. So as I was... So that little mini cutscene you saw with the volcanoes erupting, that is going to activate Ravio Shot. It's what would happen normally if you're playing through the game, but since we're here early, it's gonna cause some weird effects. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do a death warp back to Link's house, so I can go ahead and get the items that I need. And I've also activated the weather vane over at Death Mountain, so I can fast travel to there at any time whenever I have access to doing so. So the nice thing about Ravio here is that if I attempt to rent an item for the first time, and I don't have enough rupees, he's going to let me rent it for free. So I'm going to go ahead and rent this fire rod right now, which would normally cost 100 rupees, but I only have 18 right now. So he's going to lend me that for free. That's the only time he'll let you have anything for free. So that's really useful. And the reason why I have 10, or want to have 10 rupees by the time I do the Death Warp in Death Mountain, is so that I can rent the bow, which is, at this point in time of the game, is only 10 rupees to rent. Up until after Eastern Palace, then it becomes 50 rupees. But at this point, from this point onwards till the end of the game, I don't want to die at all. That death warp from earlier is the only time I want to die in the game. Because in this game, if you die, you lose all of your rented items. And since this is only any percent, I'm going to only be renting items, since it's the cheapest. Buying and owning any item in this game will cost several hundred rupees or a little over 1,000 depending on which item. So of all people, we gotta rely on Danpei to give Link the ability to, you know, have some common sense to actually use the sword that's already in his hands. So we got that now, which is great. It's pretty nice to have access to a sword. It would have been nicer to have it for the Moldorm Cave, but hey, at least we got through it, so no big deal. Now, for the rest of Sanctuary, there's some rupees I'm going to be grabbing along the way, including that red rupee that I just got from the grave. Now, this is part of the rupee route. I want a minimum of 50 rupees by the time I end the Sanctuary here. And it works out pretty well because there's 2 guaranteed red rupees and 2 guaranteed blue rupees. And the reason we want 50 rupees by the end of this is because I will be renting the Tornado Rod right after this. And that's going to be especially useful for Eastern Palace. So I don't know if anyone noticed, but there was a little mini hallway that I kind of used my sword. I kind of did that to grab a hidden blue rupee in there. When I first played, I never knew there was something in there, but yeah, there's a little hidden blue rupee in there. But the blue rupee I got from one of the enemy drops was pretty lucky. And it's nice to get some lucky rupee drops. It kind of helps a little bit out with the rupee route. So this is right here one of the effects of rev your shop early. So yeah, now we got a double Ravio. And it's actually going to be like this for the remainder of the game. And the reason for this is because normally, like, this is the first time you'd be meeting Ravio, so this would be the first Ravio. And normally you would activate Ravio Shop later, and Ravio Shop Ravio would unload the first Ravio. But because we already activated Ravio Shop Ravio, the first Ravio will never be unloaded now. So now we're just stuck with both of them forever. So now he's going to make twice the amount of money off of Link, mooching off his home and stuff. So yeah, only works in his favor. It also really helps that he's standing right in front of where the bow is, so, you know, in case I die and don't make a safety save for some reason, I'd have to deal with trying to get the bow behind him. So thanks to the fact that I have Tornado Rod early, I'm going to be able to do a pretty major skip inside Eastern Palace here. And that's going to be the Eastern Palace Big Key skip. I'll get more on that as I get closer to when I'm supposed to do the trick. But right here, I'm going to go ahead and damage boost off that steel ball so I can get through the big steel ball. Because if you get hit by the big steel ball, it's going to give Link a much harder knockback by knocking him down onto the ground and such. And then there's a hidden fairy fountain right in here. Or a little fairy room or something. in which I'm going to grab all the rupees in there, since it's part of the rupee route. And I'm going to grab that small key real quick. Alright, so we got this little mini boss here. I'm going to go ahead and charge spin attack as I press the switch. And that should take care of him. Right, quick, simple 2 spin attacks. Alright, so this is the room where I'm going to do the Eastern Palace Bicky skip. So I'm going to go ahead and shoot that switch over there. And then I'm going to push this Armos towards this corner here. And I'm going to go ahead and equip the Tornado Rod right now. And position him. Alright, no big deal. I'm just going to reposition him again. There we go. Alright. Cool. As long as we're up there, we're fine. Alright, and that's your Eastern Palace Bicky skip. That definitely skips several of some really slow moving rooms. I know the one tour on the right has some really slow moving platforms, so being able to skip the Bicky here is pretty nice. And you're going to see more shenanigans with that Tornado Rod and other parts of the run. But so this, about this YeGA fight, it's pretty straightforward. We just shoot arrows when I can, but I do still have to keep track of my stamina. Even though the meter is invisible, it's not infinite or anything. And it's gonna stay invisible for the entire run. So it's very important for me to keep track of stamina. There are parts where I am using items a lot, like that YeGA fight there. That's why towards the end I did just 1 arrow shot and then some sword slashes. Alright, so the rest of this is pretty straightforward. Yeah, but before I leave the dungeon, I'm going to make a slight detour and grab a chest that has 100 rupees in it. Because that's also really important for the rupee route. Because one item I have to get really soon, or right after this, are to rent the bombs and the hammer, and to purchase the smooth gem from the street merchant. Luckily for me, at this point in time now, like how the bow was on sale for 10 rupees earlier, I mean, now that's going to cost 50, but that shouldn't matter too much, since I already have the bow. And, so kind of a similar idea with that. Now, the hammer and the Tornado Rod are going to be on sale for 20 rupees to rent, which is helpful. I already have the Tornado Rod, so that wouldn't matter too much, but it's nice that I can get the hammer for only 20 rupees. But I also want to rent the bombs at the same time, so that's going to be another 50 rupees. Unfortunately, the bombs never go on sale, but it's not too bad. So it might seem like I'm going just slightly out of the way to get to Ravio's shop, but it's definitely worth it because I'm going to need those bombs later on for a cutscene skip that I'm going to do pretty soon, and it's going to save about 20 seconds overall. Let's see if I squeeze right through. There we go. And my rupee count is definitely looking pretty nice right now. Worst case scenario, I'd have about 199, which is just 1 rupee off of being able to afford the smooth gem. But I'm at 219 right now. So things are looking pretty well. Because by the time I get to the Master Sword, I want to have a minimum of 150 rupees to rent the remaining items that I'll be using throughout the run, which it would now just be the hookshot and the ice rod, which are 50 and 100 rupees respectively. So now that we've talked to Irene over here, we now have the ability to fast travel. So those extra weather vanes that I activated earlier are now going to be very useful. Especially the one in the Kakariko and the Death Mountain ones. And I'm going to activate one more weather vane right here, because I do need to come back here for one more visit, since I will be going back and forth between Kakariko Village and this area. But that's actually the final weather vane I'm going to be activating in Hyrule, at least. So I'm just going to make my way through. Thankfully, without too many interruptions from the enemies. So that's pretty lucky. So this cutscene right here is really important, because this shady guy here is now going to appear in Kakariko Village. And he's got a very useful item for us. But before I get that important item, I'm going to get this needed item as well, the smooth gem. This is what we need to get the Zora flippers from Zora Queen. And I'm also going to make a slight detour in here to get the silver rupee, since that'll put me at 120. And now I should only be 30 rupees away from the minimum amount that I'm going to need. Because once I have 150 rupees, I won't need to worry about the rupee route for the rest of the game. And now we have the shady guy here, so we just sneak up behind him. And he's going to give me an item that lets us go really fast, as well as doing certain skips throughout the run as well. And that's the Pegasus boots. So now I'm going to head back to the witch's house. And that's the only reason why I activate this weather vane. This is the only time we use it to come back here. Because once I'm done with this area, there's no need for that. But I will still be using the Death Mountain weather vane and the Kakariko weather vane a few more times throughout the run. So I'm just going to dash my way into the little Zora hideout here. And this is where the bombs come in handy. This is where the cutscene skip happens. I'm going to place my bomb right here. Pull up the item menu, equip to that. And I was able to skip the cutscene of the Zora Queen eating a fish to make her bloat a little more. Because there's a rectangle area above where the stairs are. And doing that little tornado bomb rod puts me just right outside of it. Outside of the cutscene trigger. And I was able to save 20 seconds that way by doing that. That particular tornado rod's pretty easy to time. You just do it at some point between the second and third red bomb flash. And it works out pretty well. There is another bomb rod I'll be doing later, which will be a much tighter timing. And I still have to go around like that because it's still possible to activate the cutscene right after talking to her. It'll look strange, but it would waste the 20 seconds that I just saved. So I took a little detour just to quickly grab those river rupees. It had a red in there, and now I'm at 143 rupees. But I should be pretty much set on the rupee route now, because there are still plenty of guaranteed rupees. There's definitely at least 7 guaranteed rupees in House of Gales. Either 6 or 7, one of the two, but I should be fine anyway. There's plenty of opportunities to get more rupee drops anyway. Hey, like that. Perfect. 153 just like that. So I'm good on rupees for the remainder of the game. And I'm going to take that pot, bring it to the next room, and hit the switch. And I'm going to get a little nice boost from the rat. To get a little closer to the wall I needed to get into the merch. And head to the next room. Now I'm going to use a tornado rod right there specifically. So that I'm able to attack those 2 bubbles pretty close to each other. So in the next room, I'm going to reach. I'm going to be doing a little skip here. This is a 2-frame window, and this game does run at 60 frames per second, so it might be a little tight. Okay, no big deal. Let's just wait for it to come around again, and... there we go. Yeah, not too bad. Antivirus? Sorry. My bad. I'm used to calling them bubbles. 3D Zeldas, you know. So I did a little damage boost to skip that, the spike roller. But, oh, hello. There we go. So to skip that spike roller, I timed using Tornado Rod in a way that I would be hit, but still in mid-air. So I would be above the spike roller when it rolled by. Oh, nice. I got through the fire and flames. And what I did there just now is that I used the Tornado Rod first underneath the railings to lower the keys to where I wanted it to be. And then I Tornado Rodded into the keys to get boosted off to the next floor. And then right here, I did a Pegasus dash cancel, or excuse me, Pegasus dash slide to skip having to use the Tornado Rod to land on the other platform. And now we're fighting Margot Mill here. He's a really fun boss. He can't do any actual physical damage, but he can push you off and out of bounds. But there are going to be 2 points in a run where I'm going to intentionally just void out in order to refill my stamina instantly. Because as I mentioned a little earlier... okay, that worked. As I mentioned a little earlier, even though I cannot see my stamina meter, doesn't mean it's infinite or anything. So voiding out will instantly refill that to full. And I'm just timing the bomb drops and the spin attacks now to try to get rid of as much of the pancake layer as possible. And I void out for the last time so I can finish him off. Yeah, and that was House of Gales. Now, this is actually the only part of the run where it's faster to get the heart container rather than just waiting for the pendant to appear. Even though I grabbed the heart container at Eastern Palace, it's usually not worth skipping that one because you might die to one of the beach crabs on the way to the Zora Flippers. So we're going to head to Death Mountain now, because that's where Tower of Hera is, and we're going to get through the caves. There's going to be a little skip in there at some point as well. So that rupee rock that I just broke with the hammer, that would have been my last not so out of the way opportunity to get more rupees. But I'm already past 150 at this point, so it's no issue. And out here is pretty straightforward. I'll just make my way past these dead rocks. Sometimes again away. Not much I can do about it. And now this is where we do the cave skip. Just gonna break these rocks, get them out of the way, and I'm gonna position myself right here. And there we go. That was just a normal Pegasus dash, but so for some reason, if you position yourself just right, you can just dash along the railings. It's pretty strange, but hey, whatever works. I'm gonna grab these 2 hearts here. Having health is pretty helpful for Tower of Hero. Alright, so there's actually going to be a tornado bomb rod trick coming up. And it's like that one little tornado rod to skip the moving platforms in House of Gales. It's a 2-frame window. So it can be kind of tricky, and it might take me a few tries or so. But first I'm going to grab that key. It's not actually going to be used the door in this same room, because I'm about to skip this floor pretty soon. Oh, nice. First try. I like that. That's good. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay. So what I was counting right there were the beats of Link's heart on the heart meter. Because that's my cue as to how much stamina I've... Oh, okay. That doesn't usually happen, but sure. But anyways, I had to be sure I had refilled just enough stamina to use 2 tornado rods in a row while I was out of bounds. Because if I only had enough for 1 use of tornado rod, but not the second one, I'm just going to fall back down, and I would have to wait anyway. But yeah, with that one Pegasus dash, he usually just hits the switch and keep going. It doesn't usually bonk like that. But as for this room, I'm just going to go ahead, hit the switches in that pattern. Now the fun thing here, I'm going to go ahead and open this big key chest right here. And I'm going to immediately go back onto the platform and hit the other mole. And that's enough for me to get to the other side. So that's pretty nice. I'm going to stand at this little corner so he lands on top of that mole. So he's able to act a little faster. And I'm going to re-equip the bow. Because the bow does 2 damage. And my current sword only does 1. So it's going to be much faster to kill Moldorm this way. Each time I shoot his tail. Alright, great. The fight went pretty well. Now, if I had killed Moldorm, if I was closer to the top, one of the top corners, I could skip this heart container. Or at least it'd be a little faster. Because if you just fall down to the previous floor and then use the mole to get up, the pendant would spawn instantly. But since I'm already so close to the heart container, I'm better off just grabbing that right then and there. And hey, this kind of works out for me. I get a little more health to deal with the final boss way later. Alright, so that's it for all of Hyrule's main dungeons. So now we're all set to get the Master Sword. And this is the point on the run where you really want to double check to see if you have 150 rupees by now. But I'm all set, so I'm good on that end. But just if you decide to do a run of your own, then it's a good idea to check at this point. So what's useful about the fact that... Actually, never mind that. I'll get to that point later. But for now, I'm going to talk about this little ghosting minigame here. Unfortunately, this is my least favorite part. This part kind of ruins the flow of the run, because most of the run you just keep going, and it's very action-oriented, which is pretty good, but this minigame kind of ruins that just a little bit, but it's not the worst thing. I mean, it's not... It could always be worse. Now, how this little minigame works here is that where the ghosties move within the circle is always going to be the same, but the exits that they choose will be random. So you do have to pay attention, at least to their last location before they choose an exit. But that's only for the first 2 rings here. Because for the third final ring, right after this, my exit's always going to be down. So you could pretty much just do this last one without looking. Alright, great. Now that we have the Master Sword, I can go ahead and head to Ravio's shop and rent the remaining items that I need. And it really works out to rent the hook shot and the ice rod at this point, because once you have the Master Sword, Ravio will teach you a technique called the Quick Equip. And that's especially useful because that means I no longer have to pause the game in order to equip the items, which is especially useful. And it has more uses too. You can do this thing called Quick Equip Cancel. And what that does is that it cancels whatever end lag you have on most items. Because it doesn't work on all items. It won't work on a Tornado Rod, but it works on most items. Like something like the hammer that's really laggy when you use it in this game. You can use Quick Equip Cancel to just cancel that. And that's definitely going to come in handy for certain skips. So I'm going to go ahead and rent these 2 right now. And then when I attempt to leave, that's when he's going to teach it to me. Alright, so now that I'm all set with all my items and whatnot, I'm gonna go ahead and head over to Hyrule Castle. So you remember that little Armos boost I did with the Tornado Rod back at Eastern Palace? There's gonna be something like that in Hyrule Castle as well to skip a certain room. But thankfully, it's way more lenient than it is over at Eastern Palace. So it's gonna be pretty quick to get through. So since we did some glitching at the very beginning of the game, we didn't really do this part like we would normally do. So that's why all these normal guards are still here alongside with the enemy guards. Now when I first played this game, I thought having to have to read those 5 paintings over there or whatever would be faster, or is the only way to get through this part. But apparently you can just wait here until Impa calls you in, and it's faster that way. And I'm just gonna intentionally bonk there because the little wall pillar over there just stops him from jumping too high from the bonk. So normally this would be a kind of fleshed out cutscene. But things are a little out of whack because Zelda's not actually here. So we got a extra pendant of courage somehow. So if no, we already have the Master Sword, so I guess that works. Alright. Now for this part of Hyrule. This chain and ball guy here, he's got a very specific pattern we gotta do. So we hit him 3 times with the sword. And then shoot him with the bow for the 4th hit specifically. Because if you hit him 4 times with the sword, he will block the 5th hit no matter what. Regardless of what item you use. But for some reason, if you hit him with the bow on the 4th hit, it resets that little cycle. So he won't block any hit. And then I was able to just finish him off with 4 sword slashes. Alright, so this is that room where we do another one of those Armos Tornado Rod boosts. And like that. Basically, the timing for that, and this goes with the Eastern Palace as well, is to use the Tornado Rod after getting hit by the Armos, and then when the Armos gets close to Link and is at the apex of the Armos jump. Because when you time it right, Link's invincibility frames will be gone when they're both in mid-air. And when that happens, Link will be pushed away from the Armos. And that's how he's able to get out of bounds like that. It's the same idea with the Eastern Palace Bakey skip as well. So we just get through this little cutscene here. We can't really skip it, sadly, but it doesn't take too long. And then once it's over, we just dash upstairs, completely ignoring the 4 enemies who try to summon to stop us. Now right here, sometimes he'll just dash all the way through and get into the stairs, but sometimes he'll bonk like he did just now. I'm not entirely sure what causes that, but I feel like it's a positioning thing. But it's really weird with that. And now I'm just gonna make my way up until I make it to YeGA here. So unfortunately with this YeGA fight, there's some elements of RNG that I would have to deal with. And that is, if he, while in the wall, merged like that, if he crosses with another YeGA portrait, it's impossible to tell if they'd switch places or not until after he comes out. But if he doesn't cross with any of them, then I can just track him down. And then I can do those 2 spin attacks to save a whole cycle. Kind of a little bit of a quick kill, so that's pretty nice. Alright, and that's about it for the Hyrule part of the run. I'm about to reach into the next world. So we're now entering the other kingdom, Lorule. Pretty much the exact opposite of Hyrule. And it definitely has a lot more to show off. With some tricks and skips and all whatnot. And a lot more dungeons too, which is pretty nice. Dungeons are fun in this game. And I do have the hookshot equipped right now. It's gonna be useful pretty soon. I'm gonna skip that cutscene right there. So thankfully this little cutscene doesn't drag on too much. The blacksmith's wife is not quite a pleasant person, so she pretty much just wants you to get the heck out of her house. I'm not sure why she rescued him in the first place, but hey, she doesn't even know why according to the text. Just a little more Hilda text. And then, once that's over and done with, I'm going to go ahead and activate this weather vane right here, right now. It's one of the 2 only weather vanes we activate. And he's going to tell me that I need to take a break because I've been playing for too long. But, I don't know, it was a little slow for a speedrun to just take a break, you know. So, I'm just going to move on and stun him because I don't want him to hit me. They do 2 hearts of damage, so it's quite a bit. And this is the final weather vane we activate in the game. Or at least normally. I'm probably going to activate a few more. Just for safety's sake. Just for a safety save sake. But yeah, the first dungeon we do is Swamp Palace here. And I'm going to go ahead and equip the Ice Rod to do an Ice Rod clip. Thanks to the aforementioned Quick Equip Cancel. And that lets us skip the Bomb Flower, which is a pretty big deal. That cuts out 200 rupees from the rupee route. So that's really nice. And that Ice Rod clip you just saw, I'm about to do it again. Right about here, when the water bug is not in the way. Oops. Alright. No big deal. Let's try it again. There we go. Second try is good. And I'm going to go ahead and... not sure why I did that. Alright. No worries. No big deal. Just going to go ahead, go here. Pull the switch. And that Ice Rod clip I did twice earlier just now. Well, I'm going to do it again. And while we're out of bounds, I'm going to make my way around this room. But I don't want to be too close to the stairs over there. Because if you're close enough, you can actually go up the stairs while being out of bounds. And you really don't want that. So I'm just really slowly going here to set myself up for the boss skip. Alright, good. You know, I probably should have made the safety save right before that, because it's actually possible to softlock the game by infinitely going up the stairs, but thankfully that didn't happen, as it just occurred to me. So, yeah, so it's great that the run is still alive. That's okay, it all worked out, and I skipped the boss too. Because it's possible to clip into the boss room, and I would have, at that point, I would have no choice but to fight Argus, which I wouldn't mind too much. Argus is my favorite boss fight. So it's kind of a shame that we skip him, but, you know, not a big deal. I really go fast anyway. Alright, so now I'm just gonna make my way over to the quote-unquote desert area. Or it's like the area right before the desert. But we're about to beat Desert Palace really soon. And we're never even going to enter the desert. Like, let alone Desert Palace. We're not even going to enter the desert. Like, I don't even have the sand rod. And I don't need it. I'm going to make use of the other 3 rods that I currently have. And none of them are sand rod. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And yep. Out of bounds once again, and I'm just gonna make my way to the boss arena. But we're gonna be real careful about this, because I don't want to fight the boss. Because if you fall down in there, if I fell, I wouldn't have to fight the boss. Anyway, you can just freely warp out, which is very convenient. And you especially don't want to fight that boss when you don't have the sand rod. That fight is not fun to do it without it. But we don't need to do it anyway, so. And that's, well, that's not Desert Palace, I guess. I guess you can call it Misery Mire, because we were in Misery Mire the whole time, but yeah, that was Desert Skip, because not only do we skip the Desert Palace, the boss, but we also skip the desert entirely. So, that's very useful. So I'm just gonna come back to Hyrule real quick and make my way to Kakariko Village. So it's nice to see that Weather Vane is still getting some use. I'm gonna go ahead and make my way to this portal at the back of this house. Because the next dungeon we're going to now is Skull Woods. Now with this route, you can actually go to Ice Ruins first, and then go to Skull Woods afterwards. There's some, like, there's a little bit of leniency you can do, and it wouldn't really be that much slower. Or slow, if at all. But I'd like to go to Skull Woods first, personally. So, I'm going to go ahead and get Skull Woods out of the way right now. So, Skull Woods got some interesting skips. But first, we do have to deal with a couple of rooms that we can't really skip. And unfortunately, it's pretty... I would have to rely a lot on good enemy movement to deal with it. Like that one, that's pretty lucky. He didn't move to the right. Because if he moved to the right, I couldn't make it past that little fireball. Not ball, excuse me. Fire bar cycle right there. Fire rope, however you prefer to refer that as. And right here, I'm gonna just merge into this wall. And just make my way past this room like that. And get the key along the way. Okay, I got a little too greedy there. No big deal. Because if you hit him, you can just walk by him. There's a short period of time where he can't hit you. So I kind of attempted to do that, but they did not work so well. I was a little far away from him when I first hit him, so... yeah, but it's not a big deal. As long as I don't die, you know? So as you're seeing right there, I'm using Quick Equip Cancel to just cancel the end lag on the hammer instantly. So I can just get through this room a little more quickly, which is pretty nice. Now this next room I'm going to be in is the most luck heavy part of this dungeon. I have to really rely on the enemy movement patterns for all of the enemies in this room. Because it's pretty sporadic, but thankfully I only got hit by the Stalfos once. I can only take 2 hits max before I would be able to make it out of bounds like that before the hand grabs me. Because if I'm too slow and I try to tornado rod up there, I'll instantly be captured by the wall master and sent outside, and I really don't want that. So thankfully I got really lucky with that room. Now I do have to kind of rely on enemy movements there at first, but they were pretty good, and I do have some time, a little time to work with, because I have to wait for that wall master anyway. And I used him to kill one of the Gyptos up there. When you merge into the wall, he instantly attacks, so that's pretty useful. Oops. Alright. No big deal. What I attempted to do is just drop down and get that chest, but I can just do that. Alright, so with this room right here, I'm going to use the lamp to burn the Gyptos, to burn the toilet paper off of them that they're wearing, and to turn them into Stalfoses, and then just do one spin attack to kill them, because when they are Gyptos, they have a lot of health, and the Master Sword is not that strong, Okay. So that right there I did just now, that's called eyeball duplication glitch. So the reason why I threw it at the pedestal isn't just to get it closer a little more quickly, but it lets Link pull the eyeball out after he throws it into the pedestal. And if you time that correctly, when the purple ring starts to glow, if you grab the back when that happened, that means you performed the glitch color correctly, and you're able to just throw the eyeball instantly to the other pedestal. But the reason why I didn't throw it to the other pedestal to make it a little more quick is because the eyeball is in the state where it's already in the pedestal, so if you dropped it, you can't pick it back up. And that's the dungeon. There was supposed to be a boss, but didn't really see him. I'm not even sure if there was even a boss there. I don't know. It's that happens sometimes. But that's okay. There's plenty of other dungeons and bosses to play against anyway. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and make my way to this weather vane here, because it's the closest to the portal out of any weather vanes I currently have activated. And now I'm going to make my way to Ice Ruins pretty soon. And that's where this weather vane still comes in handy. I'm going to go ahead and quick equip to Fire Rod right now. I'm going to do a Fire Rod boost, kind of like what I did with the Desert Skip, to do a damage boost and get out of bounds. So I'm going to position myself right here and do that. Yep, there we go. I'm out of bounds, and this also skips a little Hilda text. That's why I stay out of bounds for that little part, because the trigger for that Hilda text is like most of that area on that other side of the bridge. Hey, nice. I got the swag heart. So there's one little tiny skip you can do to save a full second inside this ice cave here, which is nice considering there's a lot of waiting inside the whole cave. And that was the skip, by the way. I tornado rotted on top of that platform. The timing is a little strange, but I do have a cue for it. I use Link's beating hearts on his heart meter, kind of like what I did for Tower of Hero. And the reason why that saves a full second is because each time Link merges into a wall, that takes half a second to do, and he'd have to do it like twice. First time going into the wall, and second time coming out of the wall. So it's a nice little save there. But for the rest of the cave, we do wait a bit. But hey, a lot of this kind of gets made up. What we're about to do in Ice Ruins kind of makes up for all the waiting we do have to do in here. So it's kind of worth it. A little bit. Alright, so I'm gonna actually go ahead and activate this weather vane right here, right now. Because there is a risk I could run of dying, potentially, if I accidentally spawn the boss and die to the boss. So, you know, better safe than sorry in a marathon. So I'm gonna go ahead and melt that ice. So don't blink, because I'm gonna finish this dungeon really soon. Nice, I even got it first try. Very nice. And yeah, that's Ice Ruins. So the reason why the heart container still spawns, I threw 2 fire rods into the center, because Dark Stair is technically there. He's just not loaded up. The bottom half of the arena is the boss trigger, by the way. The boss activator. But, like, the ice is just kind of in the middle for some reason. And then you just throw two tornado rods. I mean, excuse me, two fire rods to melt the ice. And then he just dies. So, really works out for us. Alright, so once I have control of Link again, I'm going to go ahead and warp back to the vacant house. And the next dungeon we're going to go to is Dark Palace. Now, Dark Palace is kind of the opposite of Ice Ruins when it comes to this speedrun. Because with Ice Ruins, there's a lot of waiting and not much skipping in the area before the dungeon. But in Dark Palace, it's the opposite. There's a huge skip right before the dungeon, but the dungeon itself doesn't have many skips. But the dungeon itself is really quick equip intensive, so a lot of practice in quick equip really helps with it. But I'm about to do this Dark Maze skip pretty soon. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to lure one of the Snapdragon enemies into a corner where, little corner with a railing and a tree. So I'm going to be able to get out of bounds and just walk right past most of the maze. I would need him to kind of cooperate with me. Please don't go the other way. Thanks. What are you doing? He's so far away. Oh my goodness. Can you turn? Excuse me? Alright, whatever. Here, this is what we're gonna do. Because he doesn't want to cooperate, so... Turn around. Turn around. No! Dude! Boy. Meh. He does not want to cooperate. Alright, well, I kind of already wasted 3 sword beams on him. Any other attack is gonna kill him. So, I kind of just have to slowly push him in that corner. This Snapdragon did not do me any favors. I don't think I've ever gotten this lucky with the Snapdragon before. Now that I think about it. But, it's whatever. It happens. So I'm gonna take some intentional damage to have some invincibility frames. So that I'm able to stay in the same spot as him. And then I did a Pegasus dash while he kind of pushed me just a little bit out of bounds. And that Pegasus dash just pretty much got me on top of the railing. And I was able to just walk right past most of that maze. Alright, so welcome to the Dark Palace. It's pretty dark in here. But it's a good thing we get a lantern. It helps sometimes. But I won't always be using it. Because I do want to have other items readily available. Like, kind of like right here with the bomb and the hookshot. So there will be some rooms where I just go through it. But I do kind of have the room layout memorized a bit. So that really helps. I'm going to go ahead and quit the hammer right now. Because once I come out of here, I'm going to immediately break that ground. And get a key right here. Alright, so I'm going to use this bow to shoot that switch over there and quickly equip to the fire rod. Because this is going to be useful in the next room. Right here, you can just throw it and it breaks the little wooden blockade that's blocking that the window. And I'm just going to use a bomb for that. Because there's a wall there, so I can't just use a fire rod for that to work out. And then we're going to equip right back to the bow. So I can shoot this switch quickly. And then equip the hook shot. quick equip canceling the bow actually makes a little bit of a difference. Because there's still just a very slight few frames of end lag on the bow, but even quick equipping it will make him move out of it just so slightly faster, which can make a difference. Oops. I meant to dash there, but the hook shot kind of works. You got rid of the mask and the helmet sword. I could have dashed through it anyway, but no big deal. Alright, so I'm going to use this ice rod to hit that switch pretty quickly. So now this room right here, a lot of it is dark, but those patterns you see where those little switches are kind of help with where I want to be. I think that bomb fell. Yeah, that bomb fell. It'd be a little weird sometimes. If you don't throw it in the correct position, it's gonna just fall. It happens sometimes. Alright, now I actually use the lamp in the dungeon. But not so much to see in dark rooms, but because the only way to activate this boss would be to light the candles, or lamp, or whichever, torches. So those 3 bombs I laid right there, they had to be really well spaced out between one another. Because if they weren't, then you'd have to use more bombs to break that mask. Because sometimes it'll look like he got hit 3 times, but then he actually didn't get hit. It's really strange. And if I'm too slow between putting each bomb down, then it's gonna blow up before I reach the second torch in the first place. Alright, let's see if I get lucky with the rest of this fight. So far so good. Yep, I got really lucky. Because he doesn't always flinch like that and then attack right away. Sometimes he'll just tank the hits and just move along, run away, force me into a whole nother cycle. He does that sometimes, but I got really lucky with this fight, so that's nice. So I could get that heart container right there, but I'm not. I'm full health. I'm looking pretty good right now. It only saves 2 seconds for each heart container to skip, so could be a big deal, could not be a big deal. Depends on how you look at things, but I'm pretty fine right about now. If I was dying, on the verge of dying, like heart in half or something, then I would get it, because there's a really big skip in Turtle Rock that does require a damage boost. So if I really needed the health, it would make more sense to get that heart container, because it'd be faster than getting health from anywhere else up until when I need it. So I'm just making my way out of this maze, because most of the time, even though I just did warped out instantly, it's faster to get to Turtle Rock this way. So I'm just gonna go out of bounds like this and make my way to where Turtle Rock is. So it works out, because if I just warped out, I would have to go through an extra portal just to get to this area. And that takes a little more time than needed. It's kind of out of the way anyway. So what I'm about to do right now is I'm going to swim into that dock right there. And this is going to do an animation storage. So that anything that I touch, like that wall, he was able to jump out. And I just skipped having to deal with saving some turtles that don't need to be saved. So that kind of worked out. And that's also why I couldn't swim a little faster. I couldn't press A or B to do anything, because then he'll lose the storage. So soon enough, we're going to have a really big skip in here. It's called the Turtle Rock Big Key Skip. It's really fun to do. So I specifically want to be as close to the left, dashing out of that room as possible. So I can pass that fire bar right there, and then hit that Wizro, so that I can make him spawn a little early there. And then if I... Did he shoot? Oh. Well. I guess I went a little too fast. Sometimes if you go a little too fast, and he's off screen, then he doesn't shoot. But he's usually good when I see him raise his arms like that. There we go. Alright, cool. Man, that would have been sick if, you know, if I didn't go a little too fast and, you know, he actually shot the shot. Would have been first try, but not a big deal. I'm in and I'm not dead, and that's all that matters. But that each shot of that Rizorb does 2 hearts, so you know, that's also why if you were kind of low in health back at Dark Palace, it would have made a lot of sense to get the heart container. So now I'm fighting Grinnex. Phase 1 is really straightforward. Just hit him like 5 times with the ice rod. And then I go down there, and I didn't do it quick enough, but I did shoot an arrow. If I was quick enough, there'd be an arrow like right in the middle, and it would instantly hit his head. But that kind of works too. Oh, okay. Yeah, he can do big damage sometimes, so I don't want to, you know, take too many hits from him. See, that right there, that spinning attack he does, that's the worst possible attack he can do. Because I have to take a hit immediately, otherwise he's just going to spin all over the room, and that's really slow. But, oh, he's dead at least. So now, after this, we have one more low rule dungeon left when it comes to saving the Sage portraits. In that dungeon is Steve's hideout. Now the nice thing is that since we already beat Desert Palace without getting the Sand Rod, we were able to do it without the Sand Rod, which is really nice because we're able to do Dee's hideout last. Because maybe, I don't know, maybe some of you were thinking that why don't I do Dee's hideout first as soon as I got into low roll, but went all the way out to Swamp Palace instead? There's a reason for that. We saved Dee's hideout for last because since we don't need the Sand Rod, we don't need to do it earlier. And beating it last lets us skip the cutscene where it shows Link getting the Triforce of Courage. Now that's the easiest, freest 2-minute save that anyone can ever have, just by doing Dee's hideout last. So it's really nice. So I'm just gonna make my way over to Dee's hideout now. Now, in case a lot of you have ever played Ocarina of Time, a nice way to remember that password pattern is 23 is number 1. Kind of like in the Great Deku Tree. Kind of the orders of which you have to reflect the seeds at some of the Deku Scrubs. So that's a really good way to remember that order of the password. 23 is number 1, 231. Alright, so I'm gonna make my way to this room, use a sword beam and hit that switch. If I didn't have the sword beams, I'd use the bow or something. And do a cookie quick cancel quick enough to still make it past a cycle of these arrows. To make things a little quickly. Because if I didn't have the sword beams, I would most likely get hit by 2 of those arrows. But thankfully, I did. And I was able to get past that quick enough. Only taking 1 hit from the arrows. Okay. So there's actually a way to get out of bounds in this room, which I will be doing. But I still had to take the time to push all those statues into all the switches to unlock the door. Because unfortunately, we have to rescue the thief girl in this dungeon. And the reason why we do is because if we enter that door, if it's locked from the other side, sure, Link would get through it, but she'd be stuck behind it, which is very unfortunate. So yeah, that's the out of bounds trick we do. I just push those statues into place, hit that switch, but I grabbed the top half from the right side of that statue. Because if you grab from the bottom half, you would clip, but you'd fall way below and inbounds into the room beneath you. And you kind of don't want that. And I just make my way while I'm out of bounds. And I activated that one other switch with the ice rod, because it's the same idea. Even though Link can go through it from the other side, Thief Girl cannot. So she'll get stuck. Alright. So thankfully that little fight went well. If the spin attack missed even one of them, then I'd have to wait for them to reopen their eyes for a whole nother cycle again. But thankfully that fight went well. So, yep, here's Thief Girl. Not a very competent thief. The one thing she's good at stealing at all is the fun out of this dungeon. So, yeah, we kind of have to deal with her. You never want her to be touched by a blue Zazak enemy, which is like the blue horse dudes or something. Because they capture her and throw her right back into prison. But any other enemy other than these are the blue Zazaks right here. Any other enemy aside from these creatures will just make her stop in place. Which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to do when you're trying to escape captivity, because especially not for a thief. One would think, you know, the priority for a thief when touched by an enemy would be to run even faster, but she just stands in place. So yeah, not a very competent thief. Otherwise, she probably wouldn't have got captured in the first place. But, you know. Game design, I guess? Because there's also actually a way to clip into the boss room pretty easily, too. And even get the boss key early if, you know, you didn't want to do the, you know, clip into the boss room for some reason. But it wouldn't really matter, because you cannot activate the boss unless you have Thief Girl with you. And there's a little shed on the outside of the dungeon that has the portrait, but unfortunately, there's no actual loading zone in there unless Thief Girl opens up the door for you. And the only way to do that is to just, you know, kill the boss, but the only way to spawn him in the first place is to rescue her, so I'm kind of stuck with her. So aside from that one little out of bounds thing we were able to do before coming in contact with her, that's about all we can show off, unfortunately, but hey, it's better than nothing, that's for sure. It's better than nothing. At least right there you can kind of see, you know, shooting an arrow beforehand just to hit that blue Zazak and just go right on in. And right here too, I'll just shoot an arrow, quick cancel it, and just make my way through. Because hitting that switch will reverse, you know, the direction that those treadmills are going. So that really helps. Alright, so we're gonna head back into that one room with the armor statues and the switches. Now, it's my favorite room, aside from the out of bounds stuff, but I get to do this little neat thing, optimization also. I'm gonna put 2 bombs in like that and have Thief Girl in a way where, because the blue Zazaks, they're chasing after Thief Girl. So when I have her in a certain spot and I put those 2 bombs in a certain way, he got hit by both. So that's pretty nice. Anything that gets him killed quickly is nice. So I'm going to go out of bounds right here. Because merging and just making your way through to this chest is way better than just slowly waiting in the main slab of stone. So this is Stowblind. He's a pretty fun boss. I like this boss. So when I unmerge like that, I try to go as close to the left as I can so I can use the hammer right there to cancel whatever attack he tries to do. So that's very convenient. And then now, without the shield, whatever hammer attack that I do, as long as I don't quick equip cancel it, it can do an extra phantom hit, which is really awesome, considering he's actually weak against the hammer as well. So not only am I getting double damage out of each hammer swing, but he's getting 2 hits out of that double damage. So that's, yeah, 2 hits of double damage for each hammer swing. Because he's got a lot of health normally, and the Master Sword's definitely not strong enough to kill him that quickly. So that's really nice and convenient for the hammer to do that. But yeah, that's also why you don't want to quick equip during that fight. Just let the hammer do its thing. Alright, well, that's about it for all the main low roll dungeons. Because now we got the final dungeon coming up really soon. And I'm definitely going to activate the Weather Vane right in front of it. Because the final boss is very dangerous. And can kill me very quickly if I'm not careful. So I'm definitely going to save it right outside of it. Just in case I do die. Because I'd much rather have a backup save than to actually die, lose all my rented items, and have to take the time to rent them all again. But yeah, that's why the Triforce of Courage cutscene didn't play. Because the developers never intended anyone to beat Thieves' Hideout last. Because normally that would be a requirement for you to do before beating Desert Palace. Because that's how you unlock Sandrod. But since we're able to beat it without it, kind of works out. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and save right there just in case. So thankfully for Laurel Castle here, we get to skip all of the castle trials by doing trial skip real quick. Now trial skip is a frame perfect trick, and this is a 60 frames per second game, so you got 1/68th of a second to pull it off. So the timing can be a little tight. But first, we gotta deal with this fire chain and ball dude. So same exact idea as the chain and ball guy back in Hyrule Castle. Just 3 sword hits and the bow on a 4th hit to interrupt him trying to block any attack afterwards. But you just rinse and repeat just a little more, a couple more times, because he has much more health since his chain and ball is set on fire. Yep, that for some reason automatically gives him more health somehow. But you know, game design, whatever works. Whatever gets the job done. Oh, he's in the way. Alright. Little pretty Patty's Moldorm right there was in the way. But no big deal. Oh, I'm in stamina. Had to wait a bit. Alright, so this is trial skip right here. I'm just gonna set up for it. There we go. Okay, so like I mentioned, this is frame perfect, so it might take a couple of tries. There we go. Hey, that try's pretty good. I'll take that. And then dash in like that, and that's... Yep. That's trial skip. You got past the big door. So, I'm going to go ahead and just get 2 recovery hearts, because... the final boss's strongest attack does 5 hearts. And even the normal attacks do, like, 3. So... it'd be nice not to die to him. This is the hardest fight in the run, by the way. The phase 1 of this. The hitboxes on some of these attacks are surprisingly deceiving. It's a lot bigger than they look. Oh, careful. Alright. So the nice thing about this fight is when he teleports, you can see some particles floating in a certain direction. That's how I know where he's gonna warp to. That's why sometimes I just preemptively go towards a certain direction. Like that time you saw the particles move towards the top of the room, and I went along with him. Cause he'll do like surprise attacks like that, surprise quick attacks like that. So you want to be careful of that, cause that's still 3 hearts of damage. It's really strong. He also has the most health out of any boss, so it takes a little while, especially with just a Master Sword. But it's not worth getting an upgraded sword, because you do have to go really far out of the way for all of those things, so it's better just to fight him just the way he is. Just with the Master Sword. Alright, so this is phase 2 of the fight now. This one is a much easier fight. It still can be dangerous if you're down to like 1 or 2 hearts. Or 3 hearts. That tennis ball does 3 damage, I think. So, he's still really dangerous. You can kind of do this quick tennis sort of thing. Like, after hitting the ball for the first time, you can kind of just move a little closer to hit the ball. Kind of speed up the fight just a little bit. Oops. Alright. So right here, I'm just gonna move around the room and avoid the little fire bats here. And then same deal with this, which is this tennis again. Just inch a little closer each time to go crazy and all that. Whatever hits him and knocks him down sooner. Alright, so that's actually the last time I have to do crazy tennis. Because the last tennis he does, he's going to throw 2 balls. But the nice thing is, you can just mash the sword button. And it'll always hit back. Because the other 2 tennises, you can't just mash your sword. Because if you do that, then the swings wouldn't be quote-unquote strong enough. And it'll just bounce right back at you. So that's why you kind of have to time that. But for that last one right there with the 2 balls, you don't have to time those. Thankfully you don't. It'd be a little tricky to do that, but yeah, that's the end of this Ugandan fight. Time does not end here. But it will be ending soon when I touch the Triforce. So it's just a few more cutscenes. One that I can skip, and others that's just Zelda text with her talking, and I'll just have to get through it quickly. That's also why I kind of stay close to this portrait area when I kill him, because to activate this cutscene, you have to be close to where the portrait is anyway, so that kind of works out. So yeah, time is coming up pretty soon. I would say this run went pretty well overall for a marathon run, so it's just a few more texts, and it'll be time pretty soon. And time. Alright, and that was A Link Between The Legend of Zelda. A Link Between Worlds. 80%. So, pretty happy with that run. Pretty happy with how that went. And next, we got Majora's Mask 3D coming up. I'll be running that as well.
Yes, you will. I believe you want a little break before you run that. Or
I mean, I could run it now if it's no problem.
I mean, yeah, I need to switch to Indonesia first and find a setup, but otherwise we can start.
Sure. Yeah, I'll go ahead and.
Though the time on the stream might not be correct since I messed up with the timer on the start, so I'll leave that.
Okay.
Yes, we'll go into the mission and then we'll be back in a while. Stay tuned.
When people first came to America, they brought us with them, the Ancient Ones. Now there are new gods in America, and they want to destroy us. Wars are coming.